All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello, all. You have stowed your signage and you are joining us on what is a Monday. Great to be with you all. Kim is here.
Kim, how are you?
And so is Tony today.
Thanks, Tony.
Everybody. Yeah. So a lot of the images and the magic that comes to you today or this evening, whenever you are checking us out, it comes through Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
He does bring it all together with his. He takes the magic and adds magic. Kim sent me some pics of her.
Kim, how are you?
I don't know. What would you call that, Kim? Was it a protest you were doing? A demonstration you were doing? What were you doing, Kim? During
Yeah, I
the
was,
No Kings?
I was doing the Mark Thompson demonstration, you know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was you were doing the chit demonstration. I love
right.
it. Well, I'm.
I blame you.
The I blame you demonstration.
No,
Well,
I sent you the video of Petaluma. It was packed.
Petaluma was packed. Everybody, you gotta love it. There was all those Petalumians.
Yeah.
We're packing. Ding dong, says Dirk Diggity. Yeah, thank you for being into the chat early. We are a live show. 2 hours of magic today. Bravo, everybody. I love it. And I have to tell you that in all of the madness, there was a military demonstration, a kind of flex designed, it would seem, to match the No Kings protest. It was suggested as well, a kind of an intimidation thing. So the military planned this demonstration. They were going to fire live munitions, and did, into California from offshore. And of course, there they are. Tony's showing you the pictures now. If you're just listening, you can go to YouTube and see them. And well, as is typical of the new military under Pete Hegseth, who is, yes, he is, he's like one of the main dudes in the new Trump regime. Some missiles went awry and some shrapnel fell on a CHP vehicle. More on that. I mean, again, we kind of have our act together now. Don't totally have, well, we have the haircuts. And we have no more beards at the Pentagon and the military, and we have no more fat people. That is the big thing that Hegseth emphasizes, and we'll talk to somebody who has a lot to do with the military in just a few moments. I did want to spend a second. Thank you, many of you, for sending us photos of your day. Some of you were really rocking our merch in such a big way, which is really, really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for rocking our merch in the various demonstrations across California and across America. Tony, share with the boys and girls, if you would, a little bit of what happened over the weekend. I mean, a surprisingly, I say surprisingly because there's so much agitation right now in America, and you feel like they're counter-protests for every protest, and the rhetoric has become so toxic. You always worry that even peaceful demonstrations could be met with some sort of pushback that might end up with some real problems, but there were surprisingly few. I mean, millions and millions of people turned out, and still very little.
What was the estimate? I've heard 7 million and I heard 10 million. So somewhere between 7 to 10 million across the country.
Here's a little bit on what it was like.
Today, organizers say at least 7 million Americans took to the streets protesting what many called an abuse of power by President Trump. House Speaker Mike Johnson called it, quote, the Hate America rally. Here in New York City, police say 100,000 people turned out at multiple marches. They report no arrests. There were more than 2,600 events from coast to coast. They are all part of the No Kings movement, which accuses the president of behaving more like a monarch than an elected official. CBS's Elise Preston in Los Angeles leads us off tonight. Elise.
Jerika, thousands have turned up here in downtown Los Angeles to express their fear and frustration with the administration. Their message, no monarchs in America.
I want to be able to tell my future children that I was here, that I stood on the right side of history.
The nationwide rallies are in response to what organizers call an abuse of power by President Trump, including his administration's crackdown on immigration and its threat to send the National Guard into cities, including Chicago and Portland.
The message is no kings. The message is the Constitution of the United States is a wonderful document that matters.
Republicans said the protests were nothing more than hate America rallies.
I'm Torian Small in Washington, D.C. Before leaving the Hill this week, House Speaker Mike Johnson framed this rally as a hate America event. Attendees disagreed.
We love America. We hate what they're trying to do to America.
Today's rally is taking place in big cities and small towns in every state.
I'm Allie Bauman in Morristown, New Jersey. Thousands attended today's rally 16 miles away from the president's New Jersey golf course. This county has deep roots in the nation's founding, known as the military capital of the American Revolution.
Our forefathers fought off kings and said no kings for the first time. So it is full circle.
Judy Kelly is one of the local organizers.
To defend democracy on this land, it does mean a lot to all of us who are working on it.
In Frisco, Texas, the protest was small but vocal.
I believe in democracy. I fought for democracy and sacrificed. And the things that are being done right now in this government are totally ridiculous.
In Europe, protesters were also small in numbers, but passionate outside the U.S. Embassy in London, in Paris and Berlin.
Being here in Germany, especially considering the history that's here, we have a unique perspective to look and say, that's not okay.
Ahead of today's protest, the governors of Virginia and Texas brought in the National Guard to handle any potential unrest in their state. Jerika, those protests have been largely peaceful. Same scene here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, the peaceful protest part seems like it was a cornerstone of everything. We had the, born to peacefully protest and born to peacefully resist T-shirts and mugs and everything kind of with peace being and peacefully being sort of, as I say, central to everything. And I think that was pretty well honored. I mean, there just isn't the kind of behavior that is being talked about in the rhetoric about they hate America, these are the Antifa, communist, insurgents. I mean, there's just none of that in this crowd. So, nonetheless, I mean, I expect that rhetoric will be continued, and I expect that rhetoric to be echoed by those in power, and indeed, that's pretty much what happened over the weekend. But here was and is some of what was in evidence from some of our viewers and listeners. Thank you, all of you, for sending in stuff. Our email address is themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. You have to put the "the" in there. themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Who's first?
Ava.
Yeah. Go ahead and throw them up there, Tony, and I want to shout
Ava.
out.
She's got the same shirt you have on.
I love it, Ava.
Yeah.
Bravo. Looking good, kid. Yeah, it is. And look at, there's somebody in a Santa suit.
Girl, you just
Yeah, there definitely were some creative offerings. What is next? Thank you, Ava.
Then we have Rose. She sent in 4 pictures, a lot of inflatables, a lot of cool signs. There you go.
Which one is Rose? The pink donkey or the habeas corpus sign? And there's the frog. I'm loving it.
Girl, you just
yeah.
Very, very cool.
Awesome. Then Nancy sent in some shots.
Nancy, check you out. Nancy sent in a picture with her daughter, I think. There they are, the two of them. They look like sisters. I can't believe it.
Girl, you just woo.
Yeah, girl, you just woo.
She also has the same shirt on that you do.
The same shirt that I am.
Yeah.
Very, very good stuff. Thank you. And
Richard coming in with his picture. Was that Richard? Oh, that's Sandy, I think.
And that's Richard?
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite see what his sign says, but also my screen is super tiny. So thank you, Richard. Thank you. And thank you for taking a second to take a shot. I knew it would be bad, but holy S.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
This is
Sandy,
who?
That's Sandy, and she sent a couple pictures in.
I'm loving it.
Girl, you just woo.
Sandy, you look great holding the signage, and that is your crew.
Yeah,
Love
looking
it.
good.
Yeah, very, very cool. Upside down flag and the sign of distress. Really cool. Thank you, Sandy. Yeah. What else?
Cecilia found some members of South Park. There you go.
Okay. Loving
Everybody.
that. Loving
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then Noe Marie was out there with the kids.
Oh yeah, Noe Marie. She's got a sign that you need to focus on. Like you need to read it through. I can't see what it says from here.
She also has her Mark Thompson shirt on.
I love that. Come on, big shout out.
Big shout out.
Make love, not fascism.
Make love, not fascism. One of my favorite shirts.
Yeah, looks
Noe
good.
Marie, thank you. Yeah.
And there she is with the kids out there.
She's got the whole family involved.
Yep.
Good stuff. Yeah. It
And
was.
then lastly, Robert came in and sent us a picture. There you
Robert
go.
has one of the OG shirts,
Yeah.
KGO in Exile. I love that.
Yeah, so there you go.
I love it. Well, I am very excited to have received all of that. It means a lot, and I'm glad everybody got a chance to express themselves, and it struck me as important. I heard this from some friends, and I know that this is on some level a sentiment that's shared, which is, I didn't go because I didn't know. It really can't make a difference, and we went because it is an expression. I also think that people need an outlet, and if it didn't matter, then why would they talk about it so much and try to put it down and in some way characterize it a certain way? Because they do feel threatened by the voice of the people. Why is the election being manipulated? The next election being manipulated in terms of redistricting? There's a major Supreme Court case going on now. We talked about it last week, the redistricting in Louisiana, which opens the door to redistricting elsewhere, the sort of racial gerrymandering, where race really is a component of the way districts are drawn, no longer being relevant to the way districts are drawn. That's something that we, again, if you missed that conversation, we did it with David Katz on Thursday. I really counsel you to go back and check it out. It's really good because it lays out how these legal levers are being used to manipulate outcomes. So that's the legal way in which you can do it. But we also know that there is some underhanded stuff going on as well. I mean, when the right talks about underhanded stuff going on, they don't show the math, they just complain. When the left complains about underhanded stuff going on, generally there is some math to be shown. And if you're curious about that, Nathan Taylor has the latest information from Florida that he will share on this show later this week. I think he's coming in on Wednesday.
Okay.
And he's from the Election Truth Alliance. And one of the things you'll see is that the state of Florida had districts that turned out not 100% of the voters, but 128% of the voters. Now, tell me how that works. That's just one audit that we will be talking about. So we'll try to show you some receipts when it comes to complaints about elections that's relevant in the extreme. In any case, back to the march, if you went out, I think it was an important thing to at least show yourself, and those numbers matter. Those numbers, I think, will increase, and as life gets tougher in America, particularly economically, which is going to happen, and the government continues closed, and a lot of government programs on which people count, as those become less and less available, you're going to see more and more Americans disheartened, angry, and blaming this regime. And they will turn out in big numbers. So,
wow,
again,
look at Los Angeles. That's
yeah.
so many people.
Really impressive across California, San Diego, LA, San Francisco, etc. So,
before you hop over to your guest, we have some super chats if you want to check them out.
I will check them quickly. We had a couple No Kings protests here in Polk County, and there was no alcohol involved. So and Polk County is in Florida. Yeah, where is...
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Yeah, that's with the Sheriff Grady.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Yeah, situation oftentimes can involve alcohol. Mark, I can't believe you would encourage peaceful protest. With all of this rampant love and peace, where does it end? Asks Trevor Starr in Hollywood. Yeah, it's true. Oh, my God. On this magnificent Monday, Mark, Kim, and Albert and Tony, full of glee. On their show, you'll hear their decree. With news, law, and fun, their great podcast is spun. A wild cast for all to see. Wow, Harry, working overnight on that bit of poetry. And a shout out from Lucy McAllister, my favorite McAllister. Big shout out. She says, good morning with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Lucy. As you know, you have a special place both in my heart and on Thompson Terrace in the metaverse, which is a special place indeed. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
One of the things that happened over the weekend, and Kim, you can put some specifics on this, is that the Pentagon, under the tutelage now of the revered former weekend host of Fox News' Fox and Friends, Pete Hegseth, the square-jawed, completely incompetent head of the Department of Defense, he sanctioned and organized a show of force, and I don't know, he wanted to show off some munitions. This is a crowd that really loves that military flex. And Hegseth, who just prior, as you know, in the last couple of weeks, brought together all the admirals and generals to tell them to lose weight and shave, he okayed this show of force. They fired live munitions into California. Now, what happened, Kim?
So this was supposed to be a recognition of the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps. And so to take place at Camp Pendleton, the celebration included firing of live ordnance that went over I-5. And we knew last week on Friday, there was talk that they were going to have to shut down portions of I-5. The military said, no, don't do it, don't do it. Then we hear, of course, what happened, where they fought the CHP said shrapnel came falling out of the sky. There it is, sitting on top of a CHP cruiser. You can see a close-up. This was shrapnel from an explosive ordnance fired over I-5, detonated overhead prematurely, because that happens with volatile ordnance, right? And it hit and damaged a CHP patrol vehicle. Also struck around a CHP motorcycle officer. So that CHP motorcycle was also struck. It fell in the area of Las Pulgas Road at the on-ramp to southbound I-5 in northern San Diego County. That is an on-ramp that cuts through the Marine Corps base at Camp Pendleton. The CHP Protective Services detail was there waiting till the vice president was dropped off. So the ordnance comes falling from the sky as Vice President Vance is being escorted out to Camp Pendleton. This could have been much worse. You know, when you talk about people getting hurt, just so silly. And then, of course, Governor Gavin Newsom has to come in and close parts of I-5 because of, yeah,
you'd think the federal government might protect the people, right. But it took Newsom to come in to close the freeway.
Newsom to come in, had to keep California safe. So sad. The CHP officer said he heard what sounded like pebbles falling all over his motorcycle. And then an area about 3 feet around him, there was a metal piece of shrapnel about 1 inch in length and 1/2 inch wide found near the motorcycle. Though the motorcycle itself wasn't damaged, there were no injuries reported. But the Marines, once this happened, immediately canceled firing additional live ordnance over the freeway. And they had to go out, sweep the area for evidence. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, to be fair, you got to practice, and if you can't practice on your own people, then when are you going to get it again?
What?
I'm just saying. And like the 5 freeway isn't bad enough. I mean, it's a parking lot. It'll take it forever to get in. Now you got to dodge shrapnel. It's completely unacceptable. We're not happy, but it does lead us to a conversation about the military, and I want to get into that now, just briefly. I asked this guy to stop by for a quick hit. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Rod Lurie is a brilliant director and writer, and Rod's movie, The Outpost, is considered one of the outstanding combat movies, military movies of the modern age. If you haven't seen The Outpost, you should see it. It's a film filled with tension, filled with an understanding of what troops have to deal with in theaters of combat, and yet it also speaks to the kind of the boredom that a lot of these troops speak to. It reminded me a lot of a movie. There was a documentary called Restrepo, and I was so impressed that this was a dramatic film. That is to say, you're seeing these choreographed sequences, I guess, but you're so into the movie and it's so well done that you don't even. It had a reality and a grit that was quite extraordinary. So anyway, Rod and that movie is a reflection of his background with the military. He's a West Point graduate, a former Army officer, and he felt with The Outpost, he was sort of compelled to make that movie, and his military experience, I think, is really instructive in this moment. So I asked him to jump on with us for a couple of minutes to talk about what's happening in the military. And how about it? A welcome for Rod Lurie, everybody.
Marky.
Wow, it's so great. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes, Rod, to be here. I want to just ask you sort of generally from a jetliner view of things, what is your impression of what's happening at the Pentagon and with the sort of this distinguished fighting force of men and women that has been kind of turned on its side, it would seem?
Mark, we're in a really distressing time, and we cannot overemphasize how dramatic what is going on in the military, the Pentagon, is right now. And the incident that you're talking about, although it's semi-comical, semi-Keystone Copish, what's really going on here is the military being used to affect something political. This was all done to close the I-5 because they wanted to mess around with the protests, using the military to the advantageousness of the Trump administration. So they bring in this, you called him incompetent, I think he's blatantly dangerous, Pete Hegseth. He's a white Christian nationalist. He did serve in, I think he was in the National Guard or the reserves. And not a particularly distinguished career, certainly not worthy of being the Secretary of Defense, or I think he was a major maybe. What he's doing right now is simply a fulfillment of white Christian nationalist objectives, and trying to get rid of anybody that doesn't support the Trump agenda. First thing this guy does, is to fire the black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown, Charles Brown, highly competent, excellent general. He's gone. Then he gets rid of Lisa Franchetti, the only woman to ever serve on the Chiefs of Staff. Then he gets rid of the one and only ever superintendent of a service academy, from the Naval Academy. I forget her name. My apologies to her, but she is also, an absolute stud. So he starts getting rid of all these people, and the racism. He creates a shaving requirement that will automatically nullify 60% of the black males that are in the military.
Because you're talking about the razor burn.
Yes, that's right. When I was at the academy, we obviously had to shave. There was no facial hair allowed, except for certain African American cadets, because of this medical condition that they had and that cannot be overcome. So he just wants to get rid of them, Mark. And I think he wants to create a military that is purely teeth between knife between the teeth assholes. People that he doesn't care about having an educated officer corps. what they're doing at West Point and Annapolis, and I think the Air Force Academy, is simply reprehensible. They're making it so that the only people that will want to come in there are non-minorities and that are, pure grunts. They don't want thinkers anymore. He doesn't want MacArthur. He doesn't want an Eisenhower. They don't want that anymore. They want people that will serve at the knee of Donald Trump and white Christian nationalism. And it is simply, it's the stuff of satire, but it's real and it's scary, man.
It happened so quickly too. And I wanted to ask you, because of sort of your vintage, I have to think that you have some connection, if not a literal connection directly, to many of the people who were in that room, admirals, generals, et cetera, connections via connections. And I'm wondering what the disposition of those who have served honorably and have a different view of an honor to the Constitution and of the wars of the law of engagement, or the rules of engagement, I should say, when it comes to war. I wonder if you can give us some sense of what they must have been thinking, or what might be happening among that group.
I want to be really clear that I was far from a model West Point cadet, and I never actually served in combat per se. So I want to make that very clear. But I know tons of these guys. I knew all of the guys that were West Pointers in the Trump administration: Mark Esper and Pompeo and H.R. McMaster, all of whom turned on Trump eventually, and who now has their wrath. And that first administration was filled with military people. And when Trump realized that those guys don't actually support him, then he turned this time to the Fox News people who do support him, right? I will tell you something about all 800 of those people, who between them had 25,000 years of combat experience, that they're sitting there and being lectured by this badly dressed clown about what it means to be a soldier. It did not sit well with a single one of them. We've had some resignations that have come out of this already, and then he's talking to them about being fat generals and so on, and then he brings in the obese commander-in-chief. I guess what, to send home a point of irony. I think it was simply extraordinary, when so far most of what he has done has shown incompetence. The signal chat thing was incompetent. And then there was the way rush to victory declaration about the bombing of the Iran nuclear site, where Trump comes out and says literally the impossible. It's completely destroyed, he says 10 minutes later, without possibly knowing that it is completely destroyed. And of course it's not. And the guy that did come out and say, you know what, not totally destroyed, fired, right? So I think that the mindset of those guys was, who is this asshole? And that they left it disgusted. I bet you every single one of them felt that way.
The quick follow-up, but Tony, you've got a little bit of Hegseth speaking to these admirals and generals here. It's what we were talking about, because this is the new military, and the military is going to be a big part of the future of America. It's clearly something that Trump and Hegseth and others feel they can weaponize against the people, I'd suggest, respectfully. But also beyond that, they seem to be playing around with Venezuela. Now they're talking about Colombia. They're smack-talking sort of smaller countries that they know they can have their way with, but with the military flex associated with it, which is, again, the kind of pawns, Rod, that in the first season of Donald Trump, in his first administration, he seemed to view the military as being, meaning I can move the military guys, the Marines, I think it was, to the southern border for the caravan. They built that up. I can move these military pieces where I want to send a message. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of theater and performative stuff, and as you say, sort of screwing with protesters on.
And I would advise Donald Trump that if you really want that Nobel Peace Prize, changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War and turning your own troops and your own people is probably not the way to go about it. And so is not having these extrajudicial destructions of could be drug runners, probably fishermen. Like obviously, you probably have discussed this already on the show. They had 2 survivors that he says these are narco terrorists, that we have evidence, and yet we let them go home.
Yeah, they were repatriated to their own countries. Right, exactly.
It's just but you're absolutely right that Trump loves power. He loves being in power. He loves being in our heads every single day. Remember when there was a presidents where they bored us a little bit from now and then. Now he's using the military to do all this flexing, and he's a draft dodger. He's a guy who called us suckers and losers, and I'm telling you, I don't care what he says. He called us suckers and losers. I'll take General Kelly's word way over Donald Trump's word. Absolutely any day of the week. He's it's simply amazing. He has contempt for the military. He doesn't respect us. He doesn't respect the generals. The only troops he respects are those that love him. Remember a couple of months ago, they gave that big speech. I think it was in Fort Jackson. I could be wrong about that, in which they cherry picked who was going to be the audience for him, which is really amazing. There's something that I hope your audience understands, which is it is a cliche to think that the military is behind this guy. Military has often voted Republican slightly. The military is a microcosm of the United States. We come from all 50 states. It's the infantry, which is mostly white, mostly from the South. They tend to be Republican, but the Air Force, the Navy, the officer corps in general, military intelligence, almost all branches outside of the infantry, they're not going Republican.
And at this juncture, I would think on some level, and please don't let me put words in your mouth, but I'm kind of getting that they are or would be, continue to be offended by a lot of these policy positions as articulated.
I don't think there's a single person in the National Guard who wants to be out there pointing guns at their own citizens. I think that most of them who are aware of his draft dodging don't have much respect for him, or how he wouldn't go to the cemetery to honor the our dead from the World War. It's it's really rather astonishing. He put in the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who he claimed when he met him put on a MAGA hat. I doubt that guy did that. It's probably a lie, but he probably did announce his fealty to Trump. So could you imagine, Mark, I want you just to think about this. Could you imagine if the powers and his grasp of the military today is what he had on January 6th? Could you imagine what that day could have been? Could you even begin to fathom it? It's unbelievable.
This is what the concern is, skipping ahead in the movie, that you replace those that you perceive to be disloyal, or those who, again, have a loyalty to the Constitution, not to the word of the president. And in 2 years, or even in 3 years, whatever the time frame, certainly for the next election, but even prior to that, you might see it, a very different kind of disposition of the military toward the people. And so all of a sudden, these pawns and theatrical performative components turn, and they become part of a much grimmer picture.
I promise you, Mark, the 2026 elections, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not going to be what it was. There's going to be, maybe he will start some military action and say, I forgot what country was he talking about when he said they had to suspend the elections because of war? Was it?
Right, he referenced that specifically, yeah.
And maybe he was referencing Ukraine, but whatever, this is a very, very, very dangerous man. Pete Hegseth is a very dangerous man that nobody in that Pentagon, I think respects, at all. You look at West Point, they have something called the Thayer Award, which is a really prestigious award. It's gone to presidents. It's gone to Neil Armstrong. people like that. And so they give it to Tom Hanks for all his years of unbelievable loyalty to the American veteran. And then they take it away. They say it's the Association of Graduates. They were definitely pushed by Hegseth, who was definitely pushed by Trump. And Trump comes out and says, we can't have woke people winning these awards. Now, I think that Tom Hanks couldn't give two shits about it.
Yeah.
I tried to contact him. I was trying to help out with this thing where we were going to find a different way to honor him because there's not a single. I'm sure there are some former West Pointers, some grads who may have agreed with it, but I haven't spoken to one who has. Every single one is like embarrassed by it, disgusted by it, politicization of the military. It's just unbelievable, Mark.
Yeah,
very dangerous place.
We're talking to you because, and I'd love to continue this conversation another time, because I think the military is, as we've sort of suggested, and as you kind of draw out, part of, in a big way, a central theme that he's going to use to lever against other things like elections and freedoms, personal freedoms in America, including the freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. So even moving them in sort of this law enforcement way, which is really not the way there's training to suggest that that's backed up. It all feels of a kind, So I want to thank you for, on short notice, jumping on with us. But I just felt, particularly with those ordinances going wild over the weekend, and as you say, that kind of been being used as a counter to the No Kings protests.
Right.
It felt like he was screwing with California and these people who are assembling in California. And I think there's going to be way more of that. And I really appreciate you being available.
All right, Mark. We'll talk. I could have talked for hours more about the other.
And we will. We will. We'll do an extended conversation. I appreciate you just jumping on with it. And go see The Outpost, everyone. And when you can go see it, when I say that, just go to your TV or your device and you can call it up. It's everywhere. I think it's on Amazon. It's on Netflix, or I don't know what all the you can find.
I'm really proud of that film, and it has my complete heart in it. And I love the military. I love the soldier. I don't love who's running it now.
It's a wonderful movie and has been hailed as such. So yeah, thank you, Rod Lurie, everybody. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I have to step away for a brief second. I've got Gary Dietrich waiting, and I like to be fully ready to go with Gary. Gary, give me 60 seconds, and I will jump on with you. Smash the like button in the meantime, if you would. It helps us in the world of YouTube. Smash it like a boss.
With your iron rod.
Smash it like it was the thing you wanted to do, that you live for, the smash.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Cost you nothing. Jump on it, and we'll be continuing. Great show.
Feel it in your soul.
Oh, yeah, baby.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I love it, kid. I love it.
This is Mark Thompson. Smash it with your iron rod.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Have you never been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
There's always been, in this country, 30 to 35% idiots.
Where are my weed smokers at?
I love it when you're angry.
Can you let him finish, sir?
Seriously, what the
This is no summer camp.
It was great. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, kids. Yeah. I've been pouring that Coachella Valley coffee since about 6 a.m. And I had to offload a pot of it, if you know what I'm saying.
What?
I'm sorry. I just am telling you. There really is transparency on this show. I tell you what's really going on. This guy is our former colleague at KGO Radio. He is the political consultant at iHeartRadio. Also, the political analyst across the CBS television stations. How about it for the great Gary Dietrich, everyone?
Good morning, Mark. And I just got to say, you are increasingly impressing me with the production values. Hats off to the entire Mark Thompson universe of staff. That, along with your ever-growing list of merch, you're really doing it right, man. Come on, let's go.
I'm always welcoming Gary when he opens with a compliment, so thank you. I love seeing you on a Monday. Monday usually brings kind of like the settling of the dust from the weekend. This weekend brought the No Kings protest. It also brought that bizarre display off the California coast of live munitions being fired over the freeway. Give me a second on that. What was that about?
Well, I was going to ask, Mark, given the fact that you're in SoCal, any shrapnel on your car?
No, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I was saying before, it's hard enough to get from here to there on these freeways and streets. I mean, everything's gridlocked. It's a brutal commute. And now they're firing live munitions over us? Come on.
Yeah, I used to make that trip a lot when I went to the esteemed University of California at San Diego, and I was driving down in my friend's VW Bug back in the day. But we never had the opportunity to have live munitions going overhead. That would have really added some spice to the trip as you're going by. I guess now it's Legoland and Oceanside. I mean, it would have, hey, kids, look up there.
Yeah, I don't know how many kids you have, but hopefully it's more than one, because one could lose their lives on the way there. But that was a flex, and we can joke about it because nobody was hurt. But that was a flex on the part of this government, and it was timed against the No Kings protests.
Yeah, Mark, what's hard to know about all this stuff, because a little background on this. This was the part of the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps, okay? So you got to believe some of this was planned out further in advance, even pre a Trump inauguration, maybe pre a Trump election. However, when you got the vice president there making remarks, of course, appropriately so, because he's a former Marine. But, how much of this was, as you said, coordinated to simply poke Gavin Newsom in the eye? I mean, I know that the closure of 5, Gavin was back and forth on that. We're going to do it, then we're not going to do it, then we're going to do it. I don't know how much blowback, you could probably speak to this better, how much Southern California blowback the actual closure of I-5 got. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on that, Mark. But it doesn't look good, especially the shrapnel part of it. I mean, to be firing live ordnance over one of the biggest thoroughfares in the country, not just in California, probably not the best idea, to put it mildly.
The political issues to which you've referred that kind of result, again, just in the news cycle associated with the closure of the freeway in California, that is designed to blow back on Newsom, who has to now be the guy to close the freeway.
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
By definition, it's the California Highway Patrol that has to do it, right? I mean, you're not going to have Marines out there presumably closing I-5. So that's the deal. And to your point, Mark, I mean, it is one of the most heavily traveled sections of freeway in the entire United States. So perhaps less so on a Saturday than maybe a work day. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting juxtaposition, to your point, to the No Kings things, which, by the way, the No Kings rallies were all over the capital region around here, Sacramento here as well. So how much impact they're going to have in the larger sense, I don't know. Probably, Mark, really, truly, honestly, from a political perspective, what those rallies do more than anything is galvanize and activate a motivated base for the midterm elections next year.
Before I leave it completely, I just want to make it clear. I guess what I'm getting at with the firing of the live munitions, and you're right, the traffic associated with the No Kings protests was actually elevated from what we'd normally see. Like I was trying to get from here to there on a Saturday. It was really difficult. All the freeway arteries were clotted. It was a troll. They were trolling the No Kings protest straight up. I'll say it. You don't have to say it. And I don't even know if you believe it. But I mean, you can, not you, Gary, but one can suggest that, well, some of these things were planned in advance. Okay, maybe. First of all, the firing of live munitions over a freeway was planned in advance.
That was crazy, Mark. Let me just say unequivocally, I don't care if you do that at 2:30 in the morning on a deserted stretch in Nevada, okay? Live ordnance over American citizens, not a good idea. That's why we have, by the way, there are people, I'm sure people know this, there are live fire actual military enclaves around the United States for the Air Force, for the Navy, for the Army. You don't do it over a populated area, particularly an I-5 freeway. That was a crazy idea from the get-go whenever it was planned, in my view.
And I think there should be more voices saying, this is outrageous. People should be fired over this. This is absolutely unacceptable. It should be expressed in that way, with that tone. I mean, if Obama had been in power or Biden had been in power and they pulled this crap, are you kidding me? Fox News Channel would melt with the kind of anger that there would be there. And it would be righteous anger and righteous indignation. This is outrageous. You fired live missiles, munitions over the effing freeway in California. You're out. Dishonorably discharged. I want you, or take away all Pentagon passes. Instead, these are our leaders. They troll California. I worry in the extreme. I'm on 10 when it comes to worry about how, now this brings me to my next point, how this administration is handling blue cities and blue states. They've declared a kind of war on blue cities and blue states. You know, pulling $20 billion of federal money from blue states and blue cities while pulling almost nothing in comparison from red cities and red states, that is a deliberate act, isn't it, Gary? I mean, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, let me get to that in just a second. Let me finish up the conversation about Saturday with this. It is just exceptionally fortunate that no one was injured from any of that live fire accident, okay? I mean, just imagine if a piece of shrapnel or something worse, maybe even live ordnance that didn't make it to its target. Can you imagine if some folks were killed in their cars or some kids someplace on a playground, were hurt? I mean, that to me, the notion of it to begin with was an absurd idea. And I can't imagine any way to defend that. That's number one. Secondly, to your trolling comment, we know that it's true, Mark. This is not opinion because Trump put out on his own True Social post, right? The meme of him with a crown on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I guess a plane that said King Trump. I mean, you know, this has now gotten to be political sport, sort of like college football teams now do it after a game. You put out this troll action, you know, online. I think it's absurd. I wish Gavin Newsom would stop it as well. He's kind of taken up, as you know, some of this. I don't think it serves anybody well, and that's that. As far as the blue states go, you know, one of the things that's concerning me now is the targeting of, for example, the University of California, which, if people don't know, has 9 campuses, is the largest public university system in the world, and has the 2 top-ranked public universities, that is, you know, Berkeley and UCLA, in the entire country. You know, not to mention the rest of them are almost all of them in the top 25, including my alma mater, UC Santa Barbara, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is now coming to a head because if people haven't heard, Gavin Newsom has thrown down his own gauntlet and said, look, if any of you acquiesce, that is UC campuses, to Trump administration demands in exchange for federal funding, we're going to withhold state funding because there's a state grant program as well for students. So this is coming to a head, Mark. It's certainly going to play out in the courts, but I think this targeting thing has to stop. If you want to have a federal policy, defend it in the courts, advance it in Congress, maybe even at the ballot box, that's one thing. But the ad hoc just taking on symbolic causes and potentially doing students, faculty, others, you know, harm in the process is obviously not a good idea.
Well, and it's not even just symbolic, and it's not just at the universities. You're seeing huge amounts of money pulled from major infrastructure projects in New York and the Holland Tunnel. And I mean, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars of infrastructure money that's going all over the country, but only to blue cities and blue states. And all of that money is being held up. And again, this is a play that Donald Trump is very well used to, which is, I'll see you in court. And the court system itself doesn't move with the kind of speed that handles this in any kind of way that's going to give these blue states a break. Meaning, all of the money stops. These productions that are, again, it's construction, it's research, it's all of these different things that are produced by this money. They have to shut down while we wait for the court process to proceed. So in a way, it's a win if you just view this as me as president effing with all of these different cities and states, which is exactly what's happening. So I see the courts, while integral to the end and the solutions, potentially, I see them as, from a process standpoint, not necessarily solving the problem.
Well, the problem is, Mark, is that because the Democrats currently don't have levers of power in Congress that they can activate, the remedy then becomes the court system, right? I mean, that's the challenge of it. And you know, actual quote unquote civil disobedience, not only in the streets, but by universities, by others who say no, or by state governors who are saying no, we're not going to send our National Guard, et cetera. So there are pragmatic avenues, but in terms of a national perspective, of course, were the Democrats to retake just a little over a year from now, I mean, it's hard to believe it's just over 12 months away. They retake control of the House. It's a completely different ballgame in terms of what's able to happen, because remember that every fiscal measure from a federal perspective originates in the House of Representatives, not to mention all kinds of other things, inquiries, et cetera.
Well, look, at least I can breathe a sigh of relief that George Santos has been granted a pardon from Donald Trump.
What?
I know. I mean, it's a...
Hey, Mark. It's George Santos here.
I wonder if you could play a little bit of Mike Johnson on the weekend show. Mike Johnson, you mentioned Congress. I mean, he's in charge of swearing in a new congressperson who is waiting. Also, that congressperson would likely trigger the vote on the Epstein file release, or the Epstein information release. So all of these things are waiting. But here's a little window on Johnson's perspective at this point. I can't hear anything, though, Tony. Maybe do it. Is it just me who can't hear anything, or is... Yeah, one more time for the... with the audio. Here we go. We'll try it in a second. But basically what the Johnson disposition is, the express position is, well, as soon as we're back in session, I'll swear in Grijalva and, we'll get cracking. And the other position is, and this is one that you're well familiar with, Gary Dietrich, is the political haymaking, which is, well, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are keeping things closed. Go ahead, give it another look.
Rubber stamp for Vladimir Putin. How do you respond to that?
I think this is an absurd notion. We have unified government. The American people put Republicans in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House. We are delivering for the people. You can make an argument the first 9 months of this Congress and this administration were the most successful, productive in history. Think of it. Think of the split screen, what's happening right now. President Trump and Republicans reduced taxes, reduced regulations to get the economy going again, ending the crime crisis, ended the border crisis. He's resolving wars and conflicts around the globe. What have Democrats done? They shut the government down.
But oversight. I mean, I never really hear you raise critical questions of anything that President Trump is doing. Do you, at least in private, raise issues with
yes, this is what unified government looks like. The president and I
well,
talk
unified government
sometimes
doesn't mean you're all
multiple
in
times every day.
lockstep. Sometimes, I mean, Congress is still a check on the executive branch.
Congress is more than a check on the executive branch. We're the Article I body in the Constitution.
Yeah.
We have a preeminent responsibility, and I take that seriously. A lifelong constitutional attorney and somebody who's been a jealous advocate of it. The president and I talked all the time about policies and decisions and all of that. We do that behind closed doors because that's what party leaders do when you're in the same party. It's called unified government. The reason we've been so productive is because we do that so well and we're delivering for the American people.
When are you going to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva?
As soon as we get back to legislative session when Chuck Schumer allows us to turn the lights back on.
Why haven't you done it already?
Because this is the way the institution works. I'm following the Pelosi precedent, by the way, when my dear friend from Louisiana, Julia Letlow, was elected to fill the seat of her deceased husband because of COVID. Nancy Pelosi took 25 days to swear her in. By the way,
are you saying? Let me stop you. Are you saying that Nancy Pelosi refused to swear her in earlier?
No, I'm saying that's my very point. Is this is the normal
my
process.
understanding is that was the date that actually the representative-elect Letlow at the time requested.
No.
She had obviously her.
Okay, here's some more examples. Okay.
No, but wait a minute. You mentioned the Pelosi precedent, but Pelosi didn't delay that.
Let me give you more than Pelosi precedent. Okay.
And what about the Johnson precedent? Because you swore in 2 Republicans the day after their election.
I'm happy to answer. Pelosi precedent. Pat Ryan, Joe Semplinsky. They were elected during an August recess. So 21 days later, when the House returned to regular legislative session, they were administered the oath. That's what we're doing. We're not in session right now. Rep. Grijalva was elected after the House was out of session. As soon as we return to legislative session, as soon as the Democrats decide to turn the lights back on so we can all get back here, I will administer the oath on the first day.
You could swear her in tomorrow, right? I mean,
no, not tomorrow. No, we couldn't. We wouldn't. There was an exception for
tomorrow. I have a
full
haircut. I can't
litigants
do
in
it.
this Congress.
All right, you get the idea. Gary, that was a bit of it. And by the way, just to thank you. It was I said pardon of Santos. It was a commutation, but from the bottom line standpoint, they are the same. And here's why I say that: because he doesn't have to pay. He's not going to have to pay any, at least in this case, any repayment to the many in his district that he had defrauded. Comments on Johnson's general disposition? Did we lose Gary?
I think we lost him for a minute.
For a second. But Johnson reminds me of Gary because he has, he can. There's no argument he can't whip out a counter argument on. And he's very strong on the legislative history of the body, but and he presents very well. But I trust a more objective analysis of things from Dietrich than I do from Johnson. But I guess what I'm trying to say is he talks a good game. But the reality is that this is a deliberate shutdown that's serving Donald Trump and his administration very well because, as we've discussed before, Russell Vogt and those who really want to dismantle government in every way possible, they want to discharge workers, they are being well served by this government shutdown. You already have offices that are shuttered right now, right? So you end up with kind of what you want. And now even an argument over whether you can terminate a lot of those federal workers that you want to terminate, as the federal government has changed to this place where they essentially want to shuttle, there's Gary, where they want to essentially flush their own programs. So all of that is served by the continued shutdown of government. But I had him for a second. I don't know.
We had him for just a moment. I will say that regarding the George Santos commutation, that Johnson also was on television talk, and he was asked about whether he would welcome Santos if he was Santos were to be reelected back into Congress. And I think we have video of that. But Johnson says, with open arms, that's the American system. But how interesting it is then that you would welcome Santos back with open arms, but you can't manage to swear in someone who was overwhelmingly elected. There is no challenge to the election for Adelita Grijalva. And it's just, it's very interesting that we would welcome Santos, but we can't seem to get her in.
Do you have that piece of video about welcoming Santos in? If you do, Tony, you can run it now. If not, I'll just say this, that the what George Santos is guilty of is something that kind of is lost in all of this, because you sort of hear the Trump BS, which meets the GOP BS, which is all just cover for George Santos. Well, you know what? The big claim that Trump made is he righteously and devotedly voted Republican on every vote. That was it. Like, that was the litmus test for whether this guy should get a commutation or pardon. And the reality is that George Santos was convicted of defrauding his own donors and his own constituents so that their donations and money that came out of his district was used for everything from manicures and pedicures to eyebrow waxing, to paying for any number of things associated with his lifestyle. So he was supporting his lifestyle using money that was donated to him, and that is against the law.
And he says he won't pay it back. He won't make restitution unless ordered to by the courts.
That's was my point in pardon and commutation. Great. Yeah. I get it. You guys can throw the flag on me having said pardon instead of commutation. You're right. I should have said he had a commutation. But from the standpoint of restitution, it is the same, because he is not going to be required to pay that restitution. So all of those people who are defrauded, victims, if you will, don't get their money. And that's the case with all of these Trump pardons. These white-collar criminals, Google it, look at it, person after person, institution after institution, defrauded. We're talking about millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. Normally, victims are repaid. In addition to jail time, there is a financial responsibility and burden that you continue to bear as someone who's been found guilty. That is not the case with these pardons that Trump was handing out. And so you can see, and Kim will rally the information for you, but it's tens of millions of dollars that no longer will go to those victims to make them whole. The people who defrauded them of that money, they just get away with it. They were pardoned by the president. Here's a little of Johnson on Grijalva.
And this morning, Mr. Santos told Fox and Friends he is not ruling out a congressional bid in the future. If he won and you were still the speaker, would you welcome him back in the conference?
Well, of course. I mean, that's our system. I mean, if the people duly elect a representative, then we will welcome them into the body. I mean, that'd be the job of the speaker. I was opposed to the expulsion of George Santos initially because he had not yet been, prosecuted. He had just been allegations made against him. But look, again, if we're going to be intellectually consistent and we're going to follow Scripture, if someone's turned their life around and they want to do the right thing, then we should be open to that.
Yeah. So not so open are we on the $50,000 paper bag payoff of Homan as we are about some of these other things. We're just not so transparent about what happened with Tom Homan and the paper bag controversy. So, Pam Bondi was asked in all of those different congressional hearings, the Senate hearings it was, asked by Senator Whitehouse, asked by others, just what happened to that $50,000, though? That was, that's taxpayer money, that $50,000. It was an FBI sting, right? They had reports that Tom Homan, he's the guy who's sending those ICE agents. These are people, who couldn't make linebacker at Florida State, but now, as they are in their 40s and 30s, they like tackling women, even children, landscapers, guys working at a car wash. They like tackling them to the ground and zip tying them. Those guys are all working for Tom Homan. So Tom Homan, having control over government contracts under DHS, it was reported to the FBI that he was selling those contracts and selling access. In other words, he was being bribed by many of these prospective contractors. So the FBI set up a sting. And they have a conversation. It's there on tape. And they have video, which is there on video, with him receiving $50,000 in a Cava restaurant bag with the promise of, I'll see what I can do in terms of government contracts. This is a guy who is so strict about the law that when asked, well, why are you taking this 52-year-old landscaper away when his kids have served in the military? They are American citizens. They've served honorably. He has no record of any kind of doing anything that's unlawful. And Homan says, well, being in this country without proper immigration processes and papers, that is against the law. And we take the law very seriously. Really? We do? We have an FBI sting video of you taking $50,000, and no one seems to know what happened to the $50,000. The taxpayer funded $50,000. Here is Sheldon Whitehouse in, again, a series of follow-ups saying we should be able to track that.
There is a, as you can imagine, very considerable amount of procedure before large amounts of cash are distributed to FBI agents related to ongoing investigations. That is all subject to regular report and regular audit. And I would also add, it's a purely administrative matter. It's follow the money. And particularly in a case like this one, Mr. Homan, the case is closed. So there's no danger to an ongoing investigation. Not only does all of that procedure lend itself to congressional oversight, but the FBI procedures explicitly state that these expenditures, and I'm quoting here, must be accurately recorded in case of a congressional audit. So if the FBI recognizes that they need to track these funds in case of congressional audit, then nobody can argue that it's impossible or improper for Congress to audit or question those funds. And of course, if $50,000 goes out of a US account and then doesn't come back, that's a worthy question as to why that money that was put out of a US account never came back.
So there you have it. No one knows what happened to the 50K in a way that they want to talk about. Just the same way they don't know about the Epstein files in a way that they want to talk about. All of a sudden, gosh, I just can't find anything on anybody in the Epstein files worth it. God, I can't believe I only talked about the Epstein files for 4 years during the Biden administration when I got into power myself, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and all of us who just couldn't talk about anything but the Epstein files, and that they're right there, they can be released anytime. When we actually got into power, we just, gosh, it just appears that there's really nothing there. There's just no there. And of course, when there's no there, I guess you really want to prevent it from being released, right? Because when there's no there, like you don't want the damage of no there to get out there. You know, I mean, if there was something there, then you'd release it, but there's no there. Yeah, there's nothing. It's a nothing burger, which is why we can't release it. Yeah, because the more nothing the burger is, the more we want to prevent it from being released. Once that nothing gets out in the environment, oof, that's going to be bad. I also want to correct, I guess Santos is going to be responsible to pay $374,000 in restitution for his crimes, which included, as I was noting, embezzling money from campaign donors and committing wire fraud. You understand what he did? He stole the identities of 11 people. He took their credit card information, and then using the credit card information, he funded his lifestyle. He misused funds intended for his campaign.
So he was ordered to pay that at the time by the judge, right? But now he doesn't have to?
Oh, I thought you're saying he was ordered. I thought that was a note to me saying he is going to pay it.
No, he would. That's what he was ordered to pay. You were asking
okay.
how much money.
So it's not a correct. No, I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Jeez, what is going on here? I don't.
He's ordered to pay $374,000, but now that the sentence is commuted, and he's being forgiven.
So he's not going to have to pay any of that. I'm sorry.
Unless
Thank
he
you.
is-
I thought Kim
unless
was
he's
sending me a note
ordered.
saying he's going to have to pay it. No, he's not going to pay it.
No, he's not.
It's just a.
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here.
Yeah. There you go. I like it.
A lot of people are telling me you're a liar.
Now, sorry, George.
It's a little lie between friends.
I'm telling you that George, charming little man who defrauded a lot of people of a bunch of money. So, he has stated, Mike and Willogan says, that he will pay back the money only, in capital letters, Mike notes, if ordered to do so by the court.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, I have to pay it, says SportsX. Wow, that is...
what?
I'm very... gosh, I'm a little short this... yeah, issue a correction to the correction, Mark. Yeah, that really is... it was outrageous.
Yeah.
Kim was trying to help me, but it was... It got a little bit...
Correction and apology.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that
It
was...
doesn't really say "I'm sorry" when you don't want to pay people back that you've stolen from.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. There's a problem with the entire process. I think Santos is very, very lucky that he is viewed as a Trump loyalist by Donald Trump, the man who commuted his sentence. There's a lot more where that came from as well. By the way, I was mentioning Tom Homan and the continued deportation of migrants who are here in this country, I should say, working for various companies and also with no track record of lawlessness of any kind, they are being rounded up alongside those who supposedly are violent criminals, but we really all know the truth of it. Very few violent criminals. It's mostly people who have worked here, gainfully employed in a lot of various professions that are perfectly respectable. A lot of them don't have many American citizens or those who are here legally ready to work in, for example, slaughterhouses and agricultural businesses and restaurant kitchens, car washes. You know where they're coming from. But in this effort to just grab everybody they can, and it literally is everybody they can, chasing them down in the streets, going to various areas in which they know they'll be working as gardeners and other support workers, babysitters, hospital workers. I think it's all awful. But one of the most awful things and grotesque things is the way in which they go to courthouses where people are showing up for court-appointed hearings associated with their immigration status, and they're arresting them. I mean, if that isn't the most disgusting perversion of law, I don't know what is. So in all of that, they have found many U.S. citizens who are picked up and thrown in detention centers. Many. I mean, the official count is 170, so almost 200 people, U.S. citizens, picked up, thrown in vans, zip-tied, with those less than human conditions, crowded in, housed in these awful places. That's the latest count. But we'll probably never get an accurate count. And we've even seen people who are here legally in the U.S. deported to detention centers in El Salvador, in that horrible place. I mean, it's a notorious institution down there, that CCOT place. And this is, to me, one of the more heinous policies that's being instituted by this administration, and it's not supported by most people. Doesn't poll well. But they can continue to do it anyway, and as I've mentioned before, they supercharge the Department of Homeland Security budget. So, the Florida politician, Chandler, what is Chandler's last name? Langevin. The Palm Bay Council is going to censure this this city council member in Florida from an Indian American organization. He'll face backlash, but maybe censure. Posted a series of social media messages that insulted Indian people that were living in the U.S., called up to be deported en masse.
It's like blatant racism.
I guess he that Indians come to America to, quote, drain our pockets before they return to India. Or worse, he says, to stay here in America. The council voted 3-2 to formally censure him. The mayor, Rob Medina, said, quote, we're all overwhelmed by everything. This nation was founded on immigrants. We are all part of the very fabric of that flag, our banner, the United States of America. Hindus for Human Rights, a national advocacy organization, released a letter calling the remarks overtly bigoted, dehumanizing, and dangerous. That's what's happening in Florida, at least with one legislator in Florida. Guess who's going to be paid during this shutdown? Nope. Not air traffic controllers.
No?
Nope. Not TSA workers.
Oh.
Nope. Not those working security for legislators, judges. Nope. Not the federal officials that are associated with keeping open the federal courts, because the federal courts are not going to be kept open. No, Trump is going to pay ICE and border agents during the shutdown. That's the correct answer. They promise what they're calling super checks. This is a shutdown pay for law enforcement. The pay was communicated to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and U.S. Customs and Border Patrol staff. And Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, said in a statement that more than 70,000 law enforcement officers across DHS are going to get money. There is no sign that the government is going to reopen either. They seem to be relishing the fact that the government is closed. Of course, it's being weaponized, the closure, by both sides. But the other thing about this closure is that it really does allow them, and I'm talking about, when I say them, the GOP, and really the Project 2025 instruments. The instruments of Project 2025 are Russell Vought. He wrote the lion's share of the Project 2025 project, which is designed to dismantle a federal government, the administrative state, as he calls it. He's already done a lot of that. It happened under the guise of DOGE, that waste, fraud, and abuse crap, where Elon Musk and the tech bro wannabes came in, and they essentially closed down many of the institutions and governmental institutions of Washington. Started with USAID, then they moved on to EPA, then they moved into the IRS, Social Security Administration. Never touched the Pentagon. There's just no waste, fraud, and abuse, apparently, at the Pentagon. But in any case, this was all in service of that end, and now with the government closed, you have a chance to really do some damage, and that is what's happening. So as we watch things, keep that in mind.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm excited. We have a guest waiting. I'll ask you smash the like button, which is an important thing in the YouTube
Smash
world.
it with your iron rod.
I know it's crazy. It costs you nothing. I know it seems like a little thing, but it helps us in this YouTube universe. We've covered a lot of things, but one thing I wanted to get to was the rights for women and women's reproductive freedoms. And I thought, why not bring in a real OBGYN for all of that? I mean, I know this is not an official exam, okay? This is just a conversation. How about it for Dr. Kristin Lyerly, everybody?
I mean,
Sixth
if you want
generation
an exam,
Wisconsin. How are you?
I'm well. I am a sixth generation Wisconsinite because my people are dairy farmers. You move in, you got your land,
Wow.
and you stay.
Mother of four, and you also you ran for office, and that in itself is a pretty big lift. And women's rights and women's reproductive freedoms are a big part of A, what you know so well, and B, what you try to represent, I think, politically.
Of course, because I have to. I mean, when I chose OBGYN, I knew that I would have to fight for my patients in the exam room and out of the exam room. I couldn't have imagined that less than 2 decades later, here in Wisconsin, where I live, there would be a law from 1849 that would come back to life after Roe v. Wade fell. This just didn't even seem possible, but it happened. And as a result of that, I joined a lawsuit with the Attorney General pushing back, and my name actually appears on the judgment that ended up bringing abortion back to Wisconsin. But as a result of that, anti-abortion people went after my license, so I couldn't practice here for a few years. I was practicing in northern Minnesota.
I mean, it really speaks to the grotesque smears and then the legal efforts to take those smears to another place that we're living with. I mean, everything in America now is cranked up to 10, and I think you're sort of a living example of that early on. The anti-abortion movement, or the anti-women's freedom movement, it's always been pretty well organized, but it feels even more weaponized now.
Oh, it absolutely feels weaponized. All you have to do is read the letter that nearly all of the Republican senators sent to the FDA about the abortion pill, mifepristone, because the FDA, of course, appropriately approved the generic version of the mifepristone pill. And if you read it, it is so political in nature. They use words like unborn child instead of embryo. They talk about protecting women, but clearly they're not protecting women. You don't protect women when you take away their options, when you deny them health care. So just reading how political in nature that letter is to a scientific organization that has processes, that respects evidence, that actually is focused on taking care of women and populations. It's so sad how politics is interfering with our health care.
Give me the state of the state on mifepristone and what is being attempted in terms of blocking the availability of mifepristone and how this might game out.
I'll start by saying mifepristone is one of the most studied medications out there. It is safe, it is effective, it's been used in the United States and all over the world for decades. It's actually safer than Tylenol and 10 times safer than Viagra. This is safe, effective medication. The problem is that it's also medication that's now being mailed to people who otherwise can't access this kind of health care. So in order for Trump to enact his backdoor abortion ban, they need to stop this. And in order for them to stop it, they are attempting to use fake science, some very poorly done studies, some allies in the anti-abortion movement to take away the FDA's approval for this literally life-saving medication. I mean, Mark, this is medication that saves women's lives and they want to take it away from us.
Explain the life-saving part of it.
Yeah, well, different people seek out abortion care for different reasons, but it isn't just about abortions. It's also about miscarriages. This is a medication that we commonly use to treat miscarriages. So sometimes when people are bleeding, we will use this to help them pass the miscarriage, the products of conception. Also, sometimes people seek abortion care because they're in a bad situation, right? I mean, for whatever reason, maybe it's financial, maybe it's mental health, maybe it's substance use disorder, whatever the reason is, they cannot continue the pregnancy. And they need to be able to follow through with healthcare at their level, in their homes, in the places where they feel supported. Banning mifepristone, banning medication abortion makes it impossible for these people to receive the healthcare that they need. And that means that they may have to endure a pregnancy that they can't tolerate, whether it's physically tolerate, mentally tolerate, emotionally tolerate within the context of their lives. It's not just unfair, it's unethical, it's inhumane.
RFK Jr., who is part of so much lunacy, in my judgment, based on everything I've read, when it comes to so many things. He also, though, has a background, as this lib with a lib family, and I would think women's reproductive freedoms are kind of a cornerstone of liberalism and freedom, and they have traditionally been, I think, a Democratic cornerstone. I'm wondering, is he a passionate supporter of access to mifepristone?
He used to be on what we would consider the pro-choice side, but things have really changed, I think, in RFK's life over the past couple of years. This is a guy who is an environmental lawyer, and there are places where I absolutely agree with him. We need fewer toxins in our environment. We need cleaner air. We need healthier food, 100%. But when it comes to things like this, I couldn't disagree more. And he really has done an about-face when it comes to supporting women's options, women choosing their own healthcare path.
So when you say he's done an about-face, is he... I don't mean to focus on him, but he is a guy with a lot of power.
Yeah.
Is he just staying back out of it so as not to let these positions that he's articulated for years float back to the surface or to represent them again? Or is he doing an about-face to the point that he's going, I don't know, think we should look at mifepristone again, not so sure it's safe. Is it that bad?
He's the head of HHS, so he
Right.
controls the FDA, he controls the CDC. So he's the one who has agreed to re-examine the safety and efficacy of mifepristone. It doesn't need to be re-examined. We've examined it, we've re-examined it, we've done the studies, we know how safe it is. Let's just make sure that people can get it so they can live their healthiest lives.
I mean, this reexamination thing that's happening with everything from the measles vaccine to mifepristone, it's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. We're going to go retill the soil that was labored over for decades. It's just absolute insanity.
Well, the thing about vaccines is that they're a victim of their own success, right? I mean, when vaccines work, we don't get sick, but that makes us think that we don't need vaccines. But that's how we start seeing these measles outbreaks popping up all over the country. And RFK has been pretty straightforward in his opinion about vaccines over a long period of time. It wasn't surprising when he started to come out with his anti-vax philosophy, even though he denied it during a Senate confirmation hearing. We see it in action now.
Yeah, the amount of lying that goes on during those hearings, I mean, it's just absolute. And again, that really becomes performative in so many different ways. So help us understand the blueprint moving forward for you and those who are trying to represent women's reproductive freedoms.
Oh, Mark, it is a dire landscape. It's been tough. Like I said, it's been tough since I started practicing medicine, but it's gotten tougher and tougher and tougher. And so much of it depends on your zip code. Now that we don't have national protection for women, look at the whole southeastern part of the United States. My colleagues who practice in Arkansas and Georgia and Oklahoma are pulling their hair out because they literally cannot take care of their patients, because you can't separate abortion from healthcare. Abortion is healthcare. We see people who come in with complicated pregnancies, moms with heart problems, people who are bleeding, people with deeply flawed pregnancies that won't survive term, and they are heartbroken, and we can't provide them with appropriate, compassionate care because politicians are telling us what we can and cannot do. We know what to do for our patients, but we can't because of politics.
So in those states to which you referred, if you can't write a script for mifepristone, or you can't use mifepristone because it's illegal, you could be prosecuted for trying to obtain it for a patient?
Hey, at this point, it's very state by state, but to your point about writing a prescription, it's challenging to get mifepristone. And I'll tell you, I work in Minnesota. I work in northern Minnesota. I'm about 3 hours north of the Twin Cities. I can't get a prescription for mifepristone for my patients in a state that got better after the Dobbs decision because they had a Democratic trifecta, because of the culture, because it's a rural hospital, which is a whole other topic. So when I have a patient who comes in to see me and they're suffering from a miscarriage and they're seeking medication management for their miscarriage, I tell them to go online and to order their medication online because it is much easier and much more efficient for them to get it that way.
Let me just understand this. Is that because the hospital is worried about getting sued or some kind of legal challenge, or because they're worried that anti-abortionists are going to come after them personally, like in some kind of, terroristic kind of way, meaning, a threat of violence? What is it when you say we have trouble getting it in the hospital?
Yeah, I can't speak for the hospital, but there have been a number of barriers that have made it very difficult for us to be able to get this medication. And you can't just go to a pharmacy. I can't just write a prescription like I could write a prescription for a blood pressure medicine or pain medicine. I can't write a prescription for mifepristone in states like Minnesota or Wisconsin and have my patient go to the pharmacy to pick it up. It's a whole different process that's much more complicated.
Yeah, I guess I really just don't understand that, because this is my, living in California. It may change here too, because things are getting dark everywhere. But it just seems extraordinary. Like, I get it. You want to make it under a doctor's care. You want to make it a prescription medication, or it is a prescription medication. Fine. But I don't understand why it can't be warehoused somewhere and kept somewhere in a pharmacy, or it sounds to me like there are a lot of forces at work here, is sort of what I'm getting from you.
Yes, and you're not safe in California, because if the FDA comes back and says that it's not safe, you're not going to be able to get it in California either. It is really dire. It really depends on where you live, and it is really scary because, again, this is a medication that is commonly used, extremely safe, very necessary, and it makes it very hard for us to take care of our patients.
Wow, this is really of concern, and as you say, it's just a piece of a puzzle of concern. And so I'd love to stay in touch. I'd love for you to keep us posted on this, and I'd love to get any word out that would help at all. Is there a central place where people can get information and communicate with organizations that express this perspective that you have?
Well, I'm representing the Committee to Protect Healthcare, which is an organization of doctors all over the country, not just OBGYNs, but every specialty. There are over 40,000 of us, and we're stepping up in places where it's really difficult for doctors to talk, but we know that we have to tell our stories and our patients' stories. So that's a great organization. But another that I have to recommend is the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, ACOG, ACOG.org. There's a patient-facing site there. You can get great evidence-based, reliable information at acog.org.
Tony, will you put those links in underneath it? You need her to say it again, or do you have it? acog.org? You got it? You want her to say it again? No, he's got it. All right. All right. We'll put those links in under this video. Oh, there it is. It's on screen, acog.org. Yeah, how about that? Wow, that's very, very good. Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, very impressive. Hey, thanks, doctor. Love spending time with you, and I'm sorry that we're spending time over such a serious subject, but wow, I'm glad that you're, spreading the word and shedding some light on it. Thank you.
You for elevating the subject, and this is how we're going to fix the problem, Mark. Appreciate it.
Dr. Kristin Lyerly, everybody. See you, doctor. Bravo, 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 bravo. Wow. I have to, let me just do this.
What are you doing over there?
I have to let the cat out. Excuse me.
Okay.
It takes 30 seconds. It's from the sublime to the utterly. 1 second.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
My wife wants some vegetables for crudité.
Emil Schaffhausen, so salad.
Jada had nothing to do with it.
I completely disagree. Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
And this is their new hoax.
Why are you yelling?
You do not know what you are talking about.
It was great. I loved it. Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here. A lot of people are telling me you're a liar.
Seriously, what the
Right on, everybody. Thanks for being here. 2 hours a day. I know it. It's a special, dreamy gift we give to you on the East Coast from 2 to 4. Shout out to the East Coast, baby. On the West Coast for 11 to 1. And we try to give you some perspective, cram as much in as we can. Appreciate everybody who's been in touch with me. The Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com is our email if you want to say anything. What's great here is that Kim sends me these private messages after the interview's over, which is great.
No, it was during the interview.
Oh, no, it's during, but during the interview, I've already started. I'm not, as I've told you before, I can't look at any messages. So everything that's relevant to an interview, and I tell you this because we live out loud, everything that you want said in an interview, think of it before the interview starts and then tell me, and I will make sure to ask it. Because once the interview starts, I can't read any comments and I can't see any communications. So that's the deal. Or, as I've said to you before, and I said this to you just last night, jump in. I'd love for you to jump in. Say, hey, I have a question for the doctor. Because I feel like a loser when I go, oh, that would have been a good question to ask. But I didn't. I'm a total loser because I didn't think of it. And of course, I've said before, like 50 times, I can't look at anything while the.
Who is having that conversation?
I'm having it with myself is the problem. So anyway, I encourage you to jump on or tell me what you think we should ask.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Casey gets it. All right. I have, whoever is producing this thing. Trevor Starr in Hollywood said. All right. Tony, Kim.
Yes.
I'm looking right now what I can still get to. I guess I can get to news if you want, but can I, before I get to news, just to give you one huge story? I love heists.
We have, we have a whole law and disorder segment.
Oh, can we do it? Do we have time to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, I love it. Tony, if you're up for it, it's a lot of it's Tony dependent. Tony, who's adding Wednesdays to his list of days. Yeah, Albert is going to be here only Thursday and Friday now. And but Tony's already said I can do Wednesdays, but I got to do KFI and I can do IR Radio and I got places to go. I got 40 other gigs. I got to,
We're lucky to have them when we have them.
Juggling a lot.
Juggling a lot. We got to get it done. But I am excited about another day with Tony. He hustles like nobody's business. So very excited. So in that spirit, I was kind of just killing a few seconds to allow him to get it together. He can hustle this for us. Let's do it. This is Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
One of the most protected museums in all the world is the Louvre in Paris, or Paris, as is said by some of you sophisticated folk.
What?
The museum-going folk. French police are hunting for 4 thieves. It was a highly professional daylight raid on the Louvre.
What?
They broke into one of the museum's most ornate rooms, and they got out with 8 pieces of priceless historic jewelry.
What?
Including a necklace that was donated. It was given by Napoleon to his wife.
What?
Yeah.
Is there not security? How does this happen?
Thank you. How did they get away with this? In addition to this, a crown worn in the 19th century by Empress Eugénie, the wife of Napoleon III, was found broken near the museum. After the thieves fled, they dumped one of the crowns on the way out.
No!
Yeah, just too heavy. Who can deal with it? Let's just stick to the necklaces. It features golden eagles. It's covered with 1,354 diamonds and 56 emeralds. Again, that's the one they dumped. The French Culture Ministry said that 8 items of jewelry were stolen, including this emerald and diamond necklace that Napoleon gave to his wife, Marie-Louise, and then she donated it to the museum, or the estate donated it over the years.
Wow.
In fact, there were other jewels that were stolen, a sapphire necklace and sapphire earrings worn by Napoleon's stepdaughter, Hortense. She became the Queen of Holland. Also worn by the 19th century Queen Marie-Amélie. The French Interior Minister visited the scene, said that these were priceless jewels of, quote, unmeasurable heritage value, or héritage value, as they say. They broke in at 9:30 in the morning when most people are just getting a cup of coffee. It was Sunday morning. It took them how long? How long did it take them to break into the Louvre, get all the stuff I just described, and get out of the Louvre? How long? I ask you, the big Louvre heist. How long did the criminals take in getting in, stealing all that jewelry, and then getting out cleanly without being nailed?
Was the Louvre open at the time of the theft?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm guessing Sunday morning at 9:30. The answer is no, as they say in French.
Okay,
no.
So they didn't have to deal with crowds.
No. The answer is, I mean, I'm thinking, I would guess around 15 minutes if I had to guess, something like that.
20 minutes, I was going to say.
Yeah, it's a 15 to 20 minute job, I think. Tony probably could get it done in 8 minutes, is what I'm guessing. Tony's
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, he'd game it out ahead of time. But apparently, they broke in from the outside in an area where building work was taking place. A truck and a basket lift were used to access the museum. They used an angle grinder and power tools to break windows and to enter. And then this experienced team, as they think it was, who had clearly scouted the location, they got in and they fled. And how long did it all take? The answer is it took 7 minutes. Yes.
Whoa. Well, I guess they would have to be fast because the alarms were probably going off.
You'd think,
They
although maybe with all of that.
Did they steal that? Look at that. Wow.
I mean,
Look at that.
their route was known. Police were investigating whether it was a gang known to them for other crimes. They're also looking at footage from security cameras, as you say. They are kind of mum on some of the details, as you might imagine. But they did not target or steal the world-famous Regent diamond, which is kept in the same gallery.
Oh.
But the museum was evacuated to preserve evidence and to allow investigators and forensics teams to carry out their work. The entire place is being, as you might imagine, canvassed. The alarms went off when the display cases were opened, and museum security guards intervened and called police, but the thieves fled, leaving the equipment that they used to break in behind. And apparently they dumped that one crown as well on the way.
What do you do with that? I mean, you can't sell it on eBay. Do they part it out? Like, are they going to pry those gems
Exactly.
out of and then just sell the gems? Is that what
Please,
you do?
Kim, have you not seen Batman? The Joker keeps it in the basement, and he uses it as a
Oh.
display for other supervillains. That's how it
Is
works.
that what it is? Okay.
Yes.
My bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
would just wear that and look in the mirror. I just march around my house wearing that tiara.
Tony feels they jack the jewelry out and they reshape it. Wow,
That's
that
probably what
seems
they
like
would do. Yeah.
Yeah. But
And the history is gone forever.
this is one of the largest centers of art on the planet. They attract at the Louvre more than 8 million visitors a year. They have classic sculpture. They've got the Mona Lisa. They've got Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, I think, with a couple of other Da Vinci things, and also like I don't mean to call them things. I mean they're works of art, but
masterpieces.
Yeah, masterpieces. Exactly. You know that thing that Da Vinci did. Yeah. Anyway, it is. But the Louvre has been a place that has been mired in some controversies. It's been a bit dilapidated in places. They've also looked at reducing crowds. It not bringing in the money that it used to from people who are visitors. So there's a lot going on there at the Louvre with the questions around it. So in any case, that is the latest. It was a huge, huge heist. And what can one say except for the moment to those super criminals? How do they say congratulations in congratulations in French? This story is my favorite for Law and Disorder. A group of hitmen have been jailed after repeatedly trying to subcontract a job that was originally offered to one hitman. And then, like those Russian dolls that have smaller dolls inside, that hitman takes it to another hitman, offers it to that hitman for less, and then that hitman offers it to another, who offers it to another, who offers it to another. It's pretty extraordinary. Here's the story. Businessman Tan Yui hired a hitman to take out his competitor. $282,000 was the price. But that hitman hired another man to do the job, offering him $141,000, so he was going to pocket $141,000 and give the other $141,000 to this new hitman. That man took the job. The hitman then hired a different hitman. And that hitman hired another hitman who hired another hitman.
How many hitmen are we talking?
We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total.
What?
Yeah. The
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Well, it actually the plan crumbled. The final hitman met the man and came up with a different idea. He met the man and proposed, instead of killing him, why doesn't the guy he's paid to kill just fake his death? And he's going to fake that death in cooperation with this last hitman. And that just turned into a plan that didn't work. Word got out. And then it turns out it's 6 men total.
6, okay.
The 5 hitmen, okay. And then the one guy who hired the hitmen, he hired really just the first hitman. He didn't know there'd be all these other hitmen in the family. So it's the 5 hitmen and then the businessman who hired the first hitman. They were convicted of attempted murder, and they are now going to cool their heels.
So hard to find a good hitman these days. I mean, look at this.
There is no quality hitman work being done anymore, but if you want to see what they all look like all in one place, and you don't want to go to the prison where they're now all housed, you can find it on our YouTube channel right there for all to see. The Trump administration has fired 2 prosecutors, the ones who opposed charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James. This is the typical dance that we have seen all too familiar from this administration. Kristen Byrd and Elizabeth Yusi were terminated Friday from their posts as assistant U.S. attorneys in the Eastern District of Virginia's Norfolk office. That's where James's case is being prosecuted. Yusi, according to her profile, has been an assistant U.S. attorney in the Eastern District since 2010. 15 years of quality work, now being KO'd by an administration that says you will bring these charges against Letitia James. I don't care whether there is a real case there or not. As to Kristen Byrd, her profile on LinkedIn says she had worked in the office since 2019, was the deputy chief of narcotics and the violent crime unit. She's now working in the private sector. These firings, of course, continue the purge in the office of prosecutors. It's turning the Department of Justice, of course, at every level into instruments of Donald Trump's administration, which is bent on retribution and weaponization of the judicial system against his perceived enemies. Eric Siebert, you'll remember, the former interim U.S. attorney who did not bring the case against former FBI Director Comey. That ouster, very high profile. And all of these people have been replaced by loyalists to Donald Trump. And that, my friends, is law and disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Thank you for being here. I was crushing the Coachella Valley coffee earlier today. The best coffee on earth is Coachella Valley Coffee. You can find it at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. And the thing I want you to do, and you need it because, you know, price of coffee is going up. I don't think the prices have gone up yet at Coachella Valley. It's already a boutique roastery. Everything's hand roasted. They have teas, coffee, spices. It's a great, great organization. All organic and from women-owned farms. They are our wonderful sponsors, have been with us with this sponsor adjacency for, I want to say it's almost our entire time on the air, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe
Close,
2.5 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. We are such believers in their product, and everything we've heard from everyone who's dealt with them has been so reinforcing of our general disposition toward them, which is, as I say, just so positive. Great people doing great things for the planet and producing an amazing product. This is the best coffee I've ever tasted. And as I've told you before, you can imagine a man of my stature. I've had coffee across the world, my friends.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
I've had it in the tunnels of a market in Morocco. I've had coffee in the riads of Same. I've had coffee on the Croisette, the Côte d'Azur. I've had coffee in Paris, on the Champs-Élysées. And I have never had a coffee as good as Coachella Valley Coffee. Thank you. Thank you. Again, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. But I did want to mention 10% off comes to you. Use our discount code MARKT at checkout for 10% off all coffee, all tea, all spices. It's a wonderful, wonderful website. Once you taste what comes to you in your home after you order from CoachellaValleyCoffee.com and you use the discount code MarkT, you will continue to be totally in love with them. So, coffee in the Louvre? I've not had coffee in the Louvre. I've had coffee down the street from the Louvre. I've had coffee while I've waited to get into the Louvre, but never in the Louvre. Kim, will you regale us with some headlines? And then,
I will.
Okay. Kim's news, and we continue. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. It is a breaking news story that I have for you because the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled that President Trump can indeed deploy the National Guard troops in Portland. Under this ruling, the justices said presidential determinations are not reviewable by federal courts. The Court of Appeals lacks the power to issue injunctive relief. City of Portland could not show an injury since troops hadn't been deployed yet. And the president, they say, acted lawfully because the response was proportionate to the events in Portland.
Wow, I mean, that's so crazy because it's not proportionate to the events in. But you're going to see more of this because Trump has packed the courts, as you know, and he's going to continue to pack the
Court of Appeals, which is traditionally said, to be left-leaning. President Trump is suggesting he might invoke the Insurrection Act to justify sending the National Guard to San Francisco. During an interview on Fox News, Trump said his power to do so is unquestioned. Trump said almost 50% have used that power. Trump is also ready to deploy has already deployed the National Guard to Los Angeles, Memphis, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass fighting back a bit, along with Long Beach Congressman Robert Garcia. They are announcing an investigation into what they call illegal and unconstitutional raids on Latinos in Los Angeles. Garcia is a ranking member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. He says he's launching the inquest. Garcia says he will call for accountability for the unlawful detention of U.S. citizens and undocumented immigrants by federal agents. He says those detainees are being denied their constitutional right to due process, and Bass called the raids on all Angelenos, undocumented or not, egregious behavior by the federal government that must be stopped.
That is an abridgment of civil rights. Absolutely true. Yeah.
The Senate is expected to vote today, very soon, as a matter of fact, on the measure that's aimed at end the government shutdown. There's a little sign of progress, though, as Democratic lawmakers remain pretty fixed on their efforts to extend healthcare subsidies. Republicans demanding the government reopen before any negotiations take place. The shutdown started on October 1st, and we're hearing today there are more delays at airports around the country because of all the shutdown activity. President Trump says he is hopeful a trade deal can be reached with China. He is set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping later this month in South Korea. Trump making the comment today at the White House, but also said again, the U.S. has been treated very unfairly by the Chinese when it comes to trade and tariffs. CHP is saying a 155 millimeter shell prematurely detonated during a live fire demonstration at Camp Pendleton, sending fragments onto a CHP vehicle and a motorcycle assigned to Vice President J.D. Vance's protective detail. The incident happening Saturday during an event marking the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. No officers were injured, though shrapnel struck a parked patrol car and a motorcycle on a ramp to I-5. Governor Gavin Newsom ordered the 17-mile freeway closure, opposing military plans to fire over the open highway, despite officials saying it would be safe. According to the patrol report, officers heard debris hitting around them, and a 2-inch fragment left a small dent in a CHP cruiser's hood.
That's crazy. I mean, you just think of what would have happened. I mean, had the freeway not been closed, or I mean, it's just.
And Governor Newsom warned them. He said, "This isn't safe."
Yeah,
and
I would.
Morning.
I would say that the idea here is to mess with people. We talked about it with Gary Dietrich. There's a trolling going on toward blue states and blue cities, and this demonstration and this exercise, you can drape it in the 250th anniversary of whatever. but it's actually designed to F with people. And the idea, and I think you're going to see this, as things get grimmer and as the economy gets worse in response to these rampant deportations and these tariffs that have been chaotically imposed, as we underwrite the government of Argentina to prop up an investment that Scott Bessent's friends who are in the hedge fund community have, you're going to see pushback from the people. You're going to see more in the way of protests. And that's the idea. Trump wants an excuse for putting troops into America's cities and into America's states, and particularly the blue cities and blue states. So watch this space, as we say, because the idea is to create a kind of chaos. And had Newsom not come in and close that freeway, I mean, you might have had a real serious situation. It's inexcusable what happened, and people should lose their job over it. The decision to use live ordinances over a major thoroughfare in California, it's outrageous. The very suggestion should be, it should qualify someone for immediate expulsion from government. It's absolutely outrageous. I mean, what are you, high? You want to fire live munitions over a major thoroughfare? Are you drunk? Get the F out of here with that. Instead, it becomes policy. I mean, I'm telling you, these people, A, don't know what they're doing, B, want to try to troll and F with everybody they can, use the military as their like favorite pawn. It's insulting to all in military service. And the military is asked to do a bunch of things that are A, unsafe, B, unwise, and C, unconstitutional. Go ahead, Kim.
I don't know if you saw this. I saw it last night when I clicked on Amazon Prime and it said my home screen was unavailable. Well, Amazon said its cloud computing services are recovering after a second round of tech issues frustrated users around the whole world. The problem started overnight with Amazon Web Services, which provides the online infrastructure for many sites and services. According to Down Detector, users of Zoom, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Alexa, Roblox, Venmo, and many more were all hit with tech problems because of this issue with Amazon. So they say it's fixed now.
Wow.
So you're good to go.
Hit me in my Amazon. That's never fun.
FIFA now says the U.S. government will have the final say if cities are safe enough to host World Cup matches. This comes after President Trump once again said last week he would look into moving matches out of cities like Boston if he felt there were unsafe conditions. Soccer's governing body said safety and security are obviously the government's responsibility, and they decide what's in the best interest of public safety.
Man.
Yeah.
Trump just cannot find, he wants every little thing to be. And by the way, of course, Trump's playing golf and Trump's, walking around in a bathrobe watching Fox News Channel. And Trump's not thinking about this stuff. But people come in, right? These sycophantic people, these little toadies, and they go, Mr. President, we've got an idea. We can actually take the FIFA tournament away from places like Boston, where there are a lot of liberals and Democrats. I love it. I love it. I love it. Give that man a promotion. That's really, I mean, that really is what's happening. I mean, it's like it's a government of trollers, of trolls.
Prosecutors are suggesting they may disqualify former FBI Director James Comey's lead attorney. In a court filing late last night, prosecutors told a judge Patrick Fitzgerald's alleged involvement in giving information to the media after Comey was fired by Trump in 2017 could be a potential conflict. Comey's legal team accused prosecutors of looking to defame Fitzgerald by suggesting he may have been involved in criminal activity. The FBI is investigating a suspicious hunting stand near Palm Beach Airport, where Air Force One frequently lands with President Trump aboard. The Secret Service made the discovery during a security sweep of the property late last week. I wonder how long that hunting stand had been there. The agency confirmed the hunting stand was in a tree with a direct line of sight to the landing area of Air Force One. Oh, that's not good.
Wow.
Well, whoops. Again, I wonder how long it had been there. I mean, obviously shouldn't be, but I guess it's a good thing they found it
Yeah.
at some point.
I guess. I don't, yeah.
Big problem at the San Jose Sharks game. They're apologizing for a pro-ice message that was displayed while the team was celebrating Hispanic Heritage Night. The message from a fan was shown on the video board Saturday night. It read, SJ Sharks fans love ice, get 'em boys. The message popping up on the board during the first intermission of the game between the Sharks and Penguins. Sharks issuing an apology later in the game, saying an offensively worded message which had been externally submitted was inadvertently displayed on the in-arena scoreboard. The team was celebrating its 9th annual Los Tiburones night, the Sharks, where the hockey club honors Hispanic heritage.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani's third home run ball from Friday night's historic performance could be worth millions of dollars. That ball hit into the left field pavilion area was caught by David Flores. He is a professional boxing coach from Santa Fe Springs. Ohtani hit it for his third home run of the night in a game where he also struck out 10 batters, leading the Dodgers to a sweep and the National League pennant. Michael Keys, COO at SCP Auction, says that baseball could be worth $3 to $5 million. Flores says
wow,
he is planning to sell it and build generational wealth for his family. So
sure. Yeah. You got to build something.
A new study from the Pew Research Center suggests divorced Americans won't stay single for long, which is interesting because you'd think if you already did it once and it ended badly, you wouldn't be rushing to get right back in. The research, titled 8 Facts About Divorce in the United States, says 2/3 of divorced Americans marry again. Pew found men and women are remarrying at a similar rate, but divorced men are slightly more likely to remarry than women. The analysis also found a caveat that widows are less likely to remarry than women who've been divorced. The data shows nearly 2 million Americans got divorced in 2023.
Wow. That's please, Tony, those are people whose relationships fell apart.
Don't worry, they're going to get remarried. It's fine.
I love it.
Skywatchers
Back into the fire.
Yeah, and fast. Skywatchers across the United States may be able to catch a glimpse of a rare green comet this week. Look skyward, Mark. NASA says Comet Lemon, 2 M's, will make its closest approach to Earth Tuesday, coming within about 55 million miles of Earth. So depending on conditions, the comet should be visible streaking across the western sky shortly after sunset. Oh, Tony, thank you for the
nice
visual
job, Tony. What a star Tony is turning
That's
into.
the green
Yeah.
comet Lemon. We're going to be able to see it tomorrow night.
Man, I think
there it is.
away
Look at
from the city lights, you'll probably have a better chance. So what part of the sky is it going to be in?
It's going to be, I don't know, why you asking me? Western sky.
Western sky.
Yeah. Shortly after sunset.
Mm-hmm. Tony has the flight plan for it up there on the YouTube screen.
There it is.
Where it will be and where it will be in the sky. I mean, that will kind of, you can find that Big Dipper and then just to the left of the Big Dipper and over a little bit, maybe a couple of hand widths.
Yeah. It's going to be beautiful. This report sponsored
Comet
by
Lemon. I love it.
Comet Lemon. It's green. You'd think Comet Lemon would be yellow, but no.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like it.
I mean, it's named for probably the discoverer of a
yeah.
comet. Yeah, of the comet. And I know that work was being done for some time with Dr. Emil
Schaffhausen.
Yeah, the third. Yeah, he was the one who did a lot of that astronomy research.
This report sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I got a package on Friday from Cliff at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. In it, a big, gigantic bag of my favorite lemon tea.
Wow.
I sent Tony a picture. 2 Coachella Valley coffee mugs that have orange splatter and orange rim. So it's
I
very
love their merch. Sure.
I have a busy
week.
I know.
Some
Kim's
mango
got a
tea.
bunch of stuff. Yes.
I'm super excited. What a nice surprise from CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Cliff knows to send me the giant bag of tea because it's my favorite. I love the mango. My favorite's the vanilla. The Moroccan mint is awesome. The English breakfast tea, amazing. They have all kinds of choices and tasting notes. And whether tea is your jam or you love coffee, please check it out, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. And please make sure to use our exclusive discount code from the Mark Thompson Show. It is Mark T at checkout. Mark
And
T.
I will give you a tip. Those of you who are still with the show right now, you made it through or you jumped on or you're listening to us and double time, however you kids do it. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to share the discount code with your family and friends, maybe people that you met at the No Kings rally, or maybe people you're in touch with who you feel are deserving, if you are wanting to share it, you can share it. But make sure that the people you share it with are deserving. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, Mark T at checkout. You'll get 10% off. There is their, I love their mugs too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't have one until just a couple of days ago, and now I'm really excited.
Yeah, you get 10% off the mugs too, and 10% of anything in your basket. Yeah, yeah.
Which is really cool because now is the time where I start kind of looking around for things to put in the holiday stockings.
Sure.
So, like, last year I gave my mom and my sister some tea, and I probably will again this year because it went over very well. My sister now orders from CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. All it takes is you give it to somebody one time, and they're like, "Yep, that's right."
It is a one and done. Like you taste it, you go, okay, I'm in.
I understand now.
Yeah, that's great, baby. Yeah.
Coffees.com. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm excited about tomorrow's show. Tomorrow we have the great David K. Johnston on.
Woo-hoo!
You better believe it. Also, tomorrow, I believe. Thought we have another guest on. Kim?
No.
I don't know.
Did you book something and not tell me?
Well, it's all on the calendar, Tim. I don't see why we have to.
Yeah. Nope. That's it.
Oh, it's recorded tomorrow. I have a recording. Yeah. I've got a recorded interview to do. Okay.
So I think what you want to say is, my bad, I'm sorry.
I hate to say my bad, I'm sorry.
Would you like to apologize for what you've done?
Well, what I did was just suggest that Kim probably didn't know what was going on, which I thought was
I did.
Fairly.
I did know.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Exactly that. I think
y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
I got it. I heard
My
it.
bad. I'm sorry.
That's the one you wanted. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to quickly acknowledge, and we are way late, but I'll tell you, tomorrow I will show more pictures that have come in. People have sent in pictures from their No Kings presence. Some of it is wearing the merch like this, the Born to Peacefully Resist T-shirt. Others like it. There are a bunch of the like make love, not fascism, all of those. Anyway, and then there are those that are just pictures of cool signs and that sort of thing. All of this stuff for the coming days of peaceful protest and resistance, you can get at getmarkmerch.com, or if you just want to rock something that sort of is about the show. I love that white, simple, you see it right there, that with the simple words just below that. That's a good, great shirt also, because it's sort of, it's Spartan, peacefully resist. I love that. But anyway, that's on the mugs too. Getmarkmerch.com, and there's also stuff that just is stuff of the show, if you want to rock any of that. Getmarkmerch.com. The commissioner's not here, Richard Delamater, but I'll tell you, Niners impressive in a win yesterday, dominating win against a tough team. Atlanta's a pretty good team. Tony says Trump just told the Australian, let me just see if I can make this bigger, ambassador to the U.S. with the prime minister there in the Oval Office that he didn't like him and probably never would. I didn't see this.
And it happened on international TV. I didn't see it either, but I did see that the Australian prime minister was there talking about.
Tom Malloy says that. Yeah, well, I mean, Trump tells you some of what he's thinking, doesn't he? Breaking fake news, Trump just appointed George Santos to be the head of the newly formed Ministry of Truth. 1984 is going to be a great year. Yeah, next year is 1984. That's good.
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here.
Luis with the $10 super chat says, lucky to have been at Dodger Stadium Friday to see the greatest individual performance in Major League Baseball history. That is true. Luis is having not only a great year with his Dodgers, but wow, the history made by Shohei Ohtani. Dodgers equal, says Luis, the ultimate DEI team. Canada, U.S., Latin America, Asia. Hashtag 4 more wins. They are incredible. I thought they were incredible last season. They're incredible this season. Regale is a ding word, says Tom. Must have said, I think I said regale when I was talking about drinking coffee all over the world. Thanks to Rod Lurie, says Dan, KO6YG. Thanks, Rod Lurie. Great segment. Learned many new things. Have a good day. Bye. I encourage you to go back and check out the Rod Lurie conversation. Tony will drop it as a separate video. We'll do that right after the show. Lucy McAllister, again, thank you for the $20 super chat. You can support this show. Again, we are a crowdfunded show, so it is Patreon and PayPal, where you, on an ongoing basis, can support us. You'll find links to both under all our videos and on our website, themarkthompsonshow.com. So, alas, we must move on. Never easy, Kim. I don't like to move on.
It's hard.
I'm a fan of hanging out. I'm a big one for hanging out. But I know there comes a time when we must. Tomorrow, the great David K. Johnston and more of the pictures from various gatherings all across the country. Tony, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out.
Has it ever occurred to you that instead of running around, given the nature of all this news, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple,
Well, that's one way to say it. Shadow, please.
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
We're out of time. Thanks so much.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.